Let me tell you about a town called Fulshear, Texas. It's a place that isn't just growing, it's absolutely exploding. This is the new frontier of American suburbia, where incredible opportunity is clashing head-on with some really serious existential challenges. Fulshear's story? Well, it's a preview of what's happening all across the country, as quiet little towns are transformed seemingly overnight.
So, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, Fulshear's population has skyrocketed by over 70%, and get this, that's just since 2021. No, that is not a typo. This isn't some gradual change. It's a full-on boom, making it one of the fastest-growing cities in the entire country.
And that right there is the heart of our story. This isn't just about new houses and roads, it's a battle for the very soul of a community. It's a high-stakes tug-of-war between that breakneck development and the identity Fulshear is trying so desperately to hold on to.
All right, so let's dive in. Let's really unpack this Fulshear explosion, where old traditions are colliding head-on with massive transformation.
And, there's probably no better symbol of this tension than a 67-year-old institution called Dozier's BBQ. It's a story of an old legacy reborn.
So, picture this. In March of 2024, after years of decline, Dozier's closes its doors, and it felt like a piece of the town's history was just gone. But then, the founder's great-grandson, a guy named Tyler Reisinger, he steps in. And for him, this wasn't just some business deal. It was personal. It was the fulfillment of a dream he'd had since he was a kid.
But here's the thing, Reisinger wasn't just driven by nostalgia. No way. He was uniquely qualified for this. He had a background in restaurant management, in logistics, and he'd already successfully revived another local classic. He had the operational chops to back up his passion. He was a real turnaround specialist.
And what a legacy he was saving. I mean, this place is iconic. From winning the very first Houston Rodeo BBQ cook-off way back in 1957 to having its presidential bacon flown to the White House for President George H.W. Bush, Dozier's is woven into the fabric of Texas. So its closure was a real blow, which made its revival a massive community event.
In the comeback? Oh, it was an immediate, resounding success. Just a few months after reopening, Dozier's lands on Texas Monthly's coveted Next 50 list. Now, for those of you who don't know, in the world of Texas barbecue, that is the ultimate stamp of approval. It proved that bringing it back to its family roots was exactly what was needed.
So, while the community was busy reviving its cultural soul, the government was facing a different, much bigger challenge. How in the world do you build the actual infrastructure for a modern boomtown?
There are really two key figures you need to know who are steering this ship. At the city level, you have the city manager, Zach Goodlander. He's the planner managing the day-to-day expansion. And then at the county level, there's Commissioner Andy Myers, a powerful fiscal conservative who's been shaping this region for decades.
Now, Commissioner Myers' entire legacy is built on fiscal discipline. He's credited with leading an effort that he claims has saved county taxpayers over $1 billion by consistently reducing the tax rate since 1997. His brand is all about delivering services efficiently.
And here's a direct result of the city's focus under City Manager Goodlander, a nearly $4.7 million investment in a brand new public park, Eagle Landing Park. This shows they're committed to not just building houses, but actually building a quality of life for all these new residents.
And this park wasn't just a nice-to-have, it was a really strategic move. See, the city had a massive park deficit, way below the national average. So this park directly answered what residents were asking for. And by partnering with a local soccer club to cover maintenance, they found a financially smart way to deliver a world-class facility.
But just as Fulshear's leaders are hitting their stride, a series of, well, you could call them legislative earthquakes from the state capitol in Austin created a massive external threat, one that could undermine every single one of their plans.
It came as a 1-2-3 punch. First, a 2017 law stopped Fulshear from being able to annex land without the owner's permission. Then, a 2019 law applied that ban to every city in Texas. And finally, the real killer blow in 2023. A new law gave landowners the power to not just block annexation, but to actively leave a city's planning zone altogether.
Now, to understand why this is so devastating, you gotta know about the ETJ, or extraterritorial jurisdiction. Just think of it as a city's planning halo. It's an unincorporated buffer where the city could guide development, getting it ready for the day it would officially join the city. For decades, this was the main tool for managing growth.
And this right here is why Fulshear is so vulnerable. The historic city core is tiny, only about 11 square miles, but its ETJ, where all the explosive new development is happening, is a massive 40 square miles. So the city was planning its future around land it suddenly has no control over.
This creates two huge threats. First is the Swiss cheese problem. Developers can just opt out, creating these unincorporated holes in the city's map that make planning things like roads and drainage an absolute nightmare. And second, there's the stranded assets risk. Imagine building a huge, expensive water plant for a new neighborhood, and then that neighborhood just decides it doesn't want to be your customer anymore. Fulshear could be stuck with billions in debt for infrastructure built for communities that can now just walk away.
So this all leads to the ultimate question for the city's future, right? With the old rules completely thrown out the window, who is actually in control of Fulshear's destiny?
Well, Fulshear's leadership knows exactly what's at stake. Their official legislative agenda for next year makes it crystal clear. They are actively fighting back, lobbying the state for an exemption, basically arguing that for a fast-growing city like theirs, this new law is just completely unworkable. And that leaves us with the final critical question. The power to shape the future of Texas suburbs has been fundamentally shifted. For a boomtown at a breaking point like Fulshear, the biggest unknown is who will ultimately draw its map, the planners in City Hall or the developers who now hold the ultimate trump card, the right to exit.